Hi, everybody. My name's Cassie Barber. I'm a third year at Mississippi State College of Veterinary Medicine, and I'm in the DVM PhD program. And joining me today is Dr. Amelia Willems, and she's here to teach us about some research. All right, introduce yourself, please.
All right. Hi, nice to talk to you tonight. My name is Amelia Willems, and I am in the Department of Pathobiology and Population Medicine. I'm one of the professors that specializes in diseases of farm animals. And so I take care of farm animal patients, but I also do work on some research, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Perfect. All right, our first question is, how did you become interested in research?
Well, it's pretty funny. I wasn't that interested in it to start with. In fact, I can remember being in vet school and thinking that our professors really shouldn't have to mess with research because teaching veterinary students and working on sick patients was so important. But then I started to realize that all the questions that I wanted to have answers to had been answered or needed to be answered with research. And probably the most important experience was when I was a resident doing my internal medicine training, and I had a calf that came in with pneumonia that I thought I was going to be able to treat, and it actually died while it was walking to the stall, and I was shocked. And it went to the necropsy floor, where it was found to have a classic case of bovine respiratory syncytial virus infection. And I started reading about BRSV, and especially the fact that the immune system could participate in pathology, and that just blew my mind. And that led me to start a career doing research on bovine respiratory disease.
Wow, that's awesome. So for people that are a little less aware of what we do, what types of careers are there for the veterinary research field?
Well, it's a really good question. I do research in a veterinary school, and we study a wide variety of things, people who do research in vet schools. And that's a lot of fun because there's a lot of independence and freedom. But there's also a lot of struggle to find money. So other places veterinarians can do research include working with pharmaceutical and biologicals manufacturers. A lot of my friends are researchers with companies that make medications and vaccines. And you can also do research for different government agencies, the federal government or to some degree state governments. Really more USDA research labs are scattered all around the country, and they do a lot of really important research.
What are the degrees and requirements, training to get in that position?
So it's possible to do research with just your veterinary degree. I know people who have a DVM and they have moved into positions where they do research and do some really interesting work. That was more true in the past. These days, it's helpful to have a master's degree, or if you want to sort of do your own research, you want to kind of come up with your own research ideas and then sort of embark on the research to answer the questions. Most people have a PhD, and a PhD, as you know very well, requires an additional 3 to 5 years of training after you do your DVM. Some people, like yourself, can work on those at the same time, and that is possible, but they are sort of two pretty different degrees. So you don't have to have any really degree in addition to the DVM to find your way into research, but it's easier if you have a master's degree or even better yet, a PhD.
Those wanting to pursue a PhD at Mississippi State College of Veterinary Medicine, what types of research are going on in the building?
We have a lot of different interesting projects going on, and I would encourage people to go to our website, click on the tab that says research, and particularly look for the link for our Veterinary Scholars Program or our Summer Scholars Program. Now, that's a program for people who are here at Mississippi State University in vet school, and it allows them to do research in a lab for the summer between their first and second years of vet school. But if you are not even enrolled at Mississippi State and you go to that link, you can find a list of all of the mentors that are currently accepting students into their lab, and that gives you a great idea of a lot of the people who are doing research here at Mississippi State. And there's a wide variety of research projects, people doing research on diseases of fish, people doing research on diseases of cattle or diseases of small animals. We have people that are looking at antimicrobial resistance. We have people that are looking at immune-mediated diseases in dogs and cats. It's really a pretty impressive array of different kinds of research projects being done here at Mississippi State University.
One that sticks out in my brain is the fish. We definitely just got that good grant that our professors are working towards with the collaborative and overseas.
That's exactly right. The Fish Innovation Lab. Researchers here at Mississippi State University are collaborating with people around the world working on health problems in fish. And fish are a very important source of protein. And I think a lot of our researchers here think they could be the source of protein. Of course, some of us are still rooting for the cow. And we do actually have people doing work with many different types of food animals here at Mississippi State University.
So as far as the types of research, kind of divulging into the academic part, how does Mississippi State foster the curriculum for future researchers? How does that look?
I think, and I would kind of turn that back to you too. My impression is that Mississippi State does a very good job making the vet students here aware of research opportunities. Certainly, I think you hear about the DVM PhD program very early on. I remember you and I talking about the DVM PhD program when we met at the dean's house over dinner, like within a couple of months of you starting vet school. We were already talking about research. The summer research program, or the veterinary scholars, we've talked about that. You'll hear about that early on in the freshman year. And that's a really nice program because not only do students get a chance to work in the lab of a mentor, but there's actually a nice stipend. So it's actually very helpful in terms of supporting you in that summer between your first and second year. And the thing about the Summer Scholars Program, as you know, you don't have to have any research experience at all to participate in that. In fact, we like to have a variety of students, some that have had research experience and some that have never had any research experience, and they can work on a lot of different projects. And then after you get past the summer between your first and second year, of course, it gets really busy. Sometimes I think the second year is kind of like the Olympic luge, you're just going very, very, very fast. There are people that can be involved in research projects while they're in their second, third, and even fourth year. They can help out with research. And as you know, you were able to apply for a little bit of support through that sort of elective that you did to continue some work you're doing in the lab. So lots of opportunities from the very first semester of vet school all the way to the end of vet school to get exposed to research here or to participate in research at Mississippi State.
Yes. I totally agree. I was very excited to talk to mentors my first year, and that's when we came up with my project for my whole PhD. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm also excited to finish up my DVM career or DVM portion because what's nice about Mississippi is they let you focus on that part and then go into that PhD. So that way, none of the information gets all jumbled up in your brain.
That's right. A lot of vet schools, I know of some schools that have programs where students start in the veterinary curriculum for a couple of years, then they go and work on their PhD for 2 to 4 years maybe, and then they go back to vet school. And I have to say that I really like the way you've done it, where you've been in vet school for 4 straight years. You have worked in the lab a little bit during the summer, and were able to kind of arrange your clinical blocks where you came into the lab some, but you've got your DVM kind of all together at the front, and then you'll have another probably 3 years, 2 or 3 years, finishing up your PhD after you graduate from vet school. I think it's going to be really good.
What advice do you have if they're interested in research?
Well, I'll say if a student's coming to vet school and they're interested in research, I'm really impressed because I had no idea about research when I was coming to vet school. So I think that if you are interested in research, just know that there are a lot of people here that are also a lot of professors that love to work with vet students doing research. And so there'll be lots of opportunities if you want to continue to work in some research while you're in vet school. I know I keep talking about the Summer Research Scholars Program, but I think it's just such a wonderful way for vet students interested in research, again, whether they've had experience, if they haven't, to get a chance to work with a faculty member. And in fact, I should say they've recently expanded that program, and I can't remember what they use. There's a term they're using, but the students who aren't sort of fully in the program, but they're kind of getting involved in some research kind of on a smaller scale. And I think the fact that they've made this new kind of smaller scale research exposure opportunity available just goes to show how much we want to help students get research experience if they want it. So I think when you just keep your ears open, I would say, right? If you come to vet school here, you'll be hearing people talking about research opportunities. And when you hear about those opportunities, go check them out. and you'll find all different kinds of things that people are working on. So, and I think if you haven't had research experience and you don't think you'd like it, try to stay open-minded about it. As I said, I had no interest, I didn't think, in doing research. But really everything that we know in biomedicine, we've learned because somebody did research. And it's pretty exciting to try to answer a question about a problem that up till now, no one's known the answer to.
I find that advice true to myself as well. That's very similar things that I would say. If you are still in undergrad and you're applying for vet school, there's probably also some research opportunities at your undergrad as well, just to kind of get some hands-on learning, maybe not a leader role just yet, but getting in and getting to see how research works is very important prior to a master's or PhD.
I thought one thing that's interesting about your program is that you are interested in doing a pathology residency, but your research project for your PhD is going to have a pathology component. So we are able to have you work on something that's going to overlap with the area that you want to get more specialty training after you finish your PhD. Does that seem like that's working out well for you?
It's working out very well. I do have a mentor in the same position. She is in the DVM PhD curriculum as well. And her PhD is about epidemiology, and she did that residency. And so it was nice to have another person in the same category as me trying to help. And there's plenty of people that have done exactly what everyone here is trying to do, and be happy to be mentors. And I am very excited because the PhD, a PhD in general is everything that you can make it be. And so that's where Dr. Williams just said, I want to do pathology, and that's how I'm going to incorporate it into my PhD. So that way, once I'm done with all that, I can continue to utilize pathology in my research career. So I'm very excited to get there. Is there any other resources that you can think of to help some bright minds get on this track for research?
I think if you're thinking about research, just try to make yourself aware of developments in science. And honestly, even some newspapers, some of kind of high profile newspapers, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, they have science sections that I have been really impressed with in terms of having stories about sort of new developments in science. Or you can scan now online, even if you can't subscribe. If you're at a university, your university may have subscriptions to journals, the veterinary journals or medical journals. And, if you're at a school that doesn't have a veterinary school, you might still have the New England Journal of Medicine. Just start scanning these and see what people are working on. Regardless of where you want to end up after you graduate, regardless of whether you don't even know where you want to end up, experience as many different things as you can. When I started out, I thought I was going to be a mixed practitioner owning a private practice in Indiana. And instead, I ended up being a professor and doing research in immunology and virology. And I love it. I wouldn't change a thing. But it was important all along to kind of get exposed to different things and be open to different things. And so I hope anybody that's planning to go to vet school will do that.
Thank you so much for all of this important information. Thanks for everybody tuning in. You can contact the school and get in touch with us if you have more questions.